You know, there are two concepts that drive what's really valuable on financial services on Bay Street or Wall Street. One is there's a very little held belief that things are going to change. So on Bay Street, mostly people believe that it'll go on forever. And perpetuating the myth that things will be sustainable ad infinitum is part and parcel of the game. So nobody wants to accept that the music will stop and there might be one less chair. So I occupy a parallel universe where that's my mantra, that things will change. This too shall pass, you know, the Fisher King. And the second part of it is that preparing for what is going to change or when things do change takes time. And unless you make that time, you end up at the edge of a cliff making bad decisions, or at least making very short-term decisions. So I occupy a world where those two are always at odds with each other. And so you either end up sounding like Cassandra, or you're continually the person who's saying, hang on a second, there's a much larger picture to think about. There's a much longer term opportunity. We can sure get the short-term opportunity. There's always an opportunity to win a market share or win a client or do a transaction. But building a relationship that takes 5 or 10 years, or building a marketplace that takes 5 or 10 years is a quite different proposition.
But I think that's the problem that leaders have, though. It's like, you know, you're looking for the black swan. You're looking for the big event. You say, well, once the big event happens, then we'll do it. But in fact, what happens is it's the steady drip, drip, drip. Just ask Grimm, the steady drip, drip, drip. They didn't think that they had to worry about Apple. They thought they had corporations locked up. They just thought they had it done, and it was coming. The bucket was filling, but they weren't noticing it. You know, this is what concerns me about corporations. I said, this is all going on. And because it's just a little bit, I can ignore the little bit. But as Canada, we have a problem because everybody's ignoring the little bits.
It comes down to 3 real concepts. It's thought leadership. In other words, can you be innovative around product, around solutions? It's client leadership. In other words, can you lead the relationships with the people who provide the revenue? Or people leadership in a way of, can you engender that fellowship which says, gee, I don't know what Mike's doing, but I really want to do what he's doing because he's nice or I like him. And that's as far as it goes. Disaggregating that into saying, well, what makes an effective leader, or how is he really effective at what he does? Very thinly held concept.
My sense is that maybe that's a risk in our culture. You know, that somehow moving from school to corporate life, we don't go through the kind of initiatory process that I think was kind of designed into lives at some point in history, where you hit a crucible moment at some young age where you had to constantly make a conscious choice in terms of either to refuse or to accept the call to go forward. That we don't have those kind of crucible moments as likely, and that in itself can contribute to the kind of denial of a reality, because you kind of live in this bubble in a sense. That
the second question I ask people is, so what do you want to be versus what do you want to do? Because there's a huge difference in terms of saying, well, I want to be a chief executive, or I want to be a bank executive, or I want to be an investment banker, or I want to be a farmer. Well, do you know what they do? And again, from my own personal experience, you know, what a lawyer does is quite different to what a lawyer is. And so much of what you do when you peel the onion with people on innovation is a case of, well, what do we want to be? Oh, we want to be the industry leader, or we want to be the customer's choice, or we want to be the most valuable. That's a B, it's not what you want to do. You know, we want to be Canada's most successful bank. Okay, but what do you want to do for your customers? Quite different. And the third question is really kind of a little more esoteric, is what's the difference between what you want to be and what you want to have? Because have is a function of insecurity, or have is a function of uncertainty. Because what you want to have is something that insulates you from the things that you don't want to face, mortality being the greatest one. So if you could say, drink from the elixir and you'll live forever, the whole Don Juan thing, people will do that. They'll sell their soul to the devil because they want to have the sense of time not passing.